Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast. Not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and if you're a man over 60 and you've started to notice that your erections aren't what they used to be, that your mornings feel slower, your body feels less alive, and intimacy feels like a memory, don't blame aging. Don't blame testosterone either. Because the truth is, for millions of men, what's quietly stealing their performance, their confidence, even their sense of identity, isn't time. It's a simple deficiency, a missing nutrient, one that's been overlooked, undertested, and rarely mentioned in doctors' offices. And yet, it may be the single most important key to restoring blood flow where it matters most. This vitamin doesn't come in a blue pill. It won't be sold in flashy commercials, and because it can't be patented, most pharmaceutical companies don't talk about it. But I will, because over 30 years working with men just like you, men in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, I've seen what happens when we bring this nutrient back into the body. Blood starts flowing again. Warmth returns to the hands, the feet, and the bedroom. And life, the real, connected, powerful kind, comes back online. Today, I'll show you what this nutrient is, how it works, and why correcting this one hidden deficiency may be the most natural, most powerful step you can take to feel like yourself again. So take a breath, settle in, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because you deserve to hear the truth about your health. Without the noise, without the gimmicks, and without shame. Let's begin.
1. The hidden deficiency no one talks about. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You're in your 60s. You've lived, you've worked hard, and lately something feels off. Your hands are colder. Your energy fades faster. And in the bedroom, you're not as steady, not as present. Most men blame aging. Some blame testosterone. But what if none of those were the real issue? What if the problem and the solution came down to one silent deficiency? A nutrient so basic, so essential, yet so overlooked, most doctors never even test for it. It's not vitamin D, not testosterone. It's vitamin K2. This isn't something you'll find on routine blood work, and it's not something a pharmaceutical company can patent or promote. But inside your body and the arteries that carry blood to your heart, your brain, and yes, your erections, K2 plays a vital role. It directs calcium out of your arteries and into your bones. Without it, calcium builds up along artery walls. Your vessels stiffen, blood flow slows, and before you even feel it, something important begins to fade. That's vascular calcification, and it's quietly choking the circulation of men across the country who've never heard the term. In my clinic, I see it all the time. Men who think they're just getting old, but who are really missing one small molecule with a massive impact. And here's the truth. Once we restore that missing K2, blood begins to move again. Hands warm up. Minds feel sharper. And yes, erections return with less strain, more ease, more you. So this isn't just about a vitamin. It's about the quiet power of circulation, about remembering what your body can still do when you give it a chance. And now that you know what might be missing, let's look at how K2 works and how it unlocks the deeper machinery behind blood flow and male vitality.
2. The science behind erections and K2. I've had hundreds of men look me in the eye and ask, "Doc, why is this happening to me?" They're not talking about a little fatigue. They're talking about a slow, quiet fear that something deep inside them is fading, and they don't know how to stop it. So I start with this. An erection is not about desire. It's about blood flow. No matter your willpower, if the blood isn't getting there, it's not going to happen. And this is where vitamin K2 becomes more than a side note. It becomes essential. See, your arteries are meant to be flexible, elastic, responsive. But over time, calcium builds up inside them. And without enough K2 to clear it out, those vessels begin to stiffen. And stiff arteries don't open. They don't respond. They don't deliver the surge of blood you need, not just to your heart or your brain, but to the place where intimacy begins. It's like trying to fill a balloon through a straw filled with cement. Now here's where it gets fascinating. K2 activates a protein in your body called matrix GLA, a natural sweeper that removes calcium from artery walls. Once activated, blood vessels regain their flexibility, and circulation improves fast. Men I've worked with in their late 60s, even early 70s, who thought they were past their prime, started noticing stronger mornings, more spontaneous arousal, and a sense of energy they hadn't felt in years. It's not magic. It's restoring flow. But blood flow alone isn't enough. Your body also needs a signal, a chemical messenger, to tell those vessels to open. That messenger is called nitric oxide. And here's the part most men never hear. Without proper artery function, nitric oxide can't do its job. So even if your testosterone's fine, even if you want it, if the pipes are blocked and the signal is weak, you won't get the response you're looking for. That's why I call K2 the forgotten spark, the key that restores both the structure and the signal. And when you support both, circulation and nitric oxide, you're not just fixing a moment, you're rebuilding the foundation.
3. Real patient story. His name was Mark. He was 68, a retired firefighter from a small town in Ohio. Big shoulders, quiet eyes. When he sat across from me, there was no panic, no drama, just a kind of resignation in his voice. "Doc," he said, "I'm not the man I used to be." He wasn't talking about pride. He wasn't chasing youth. He was describing something deeper, the slow fading of vitality, of connection, of that fire that once made life feel full. He told me, "It's not just the bedroom, it's everything. I feel flat, numb, like something's slipping away and I can't get it back." Mark had tried the little blue pill. It worked, sometimes, but he said it felt mechanical, forced. "I don't want a trick," he told me. "I want to feel like myself again." So we ran his labs. Testosterone? Borderline, but not terrible. Cholesterol? Manageable. But what stood out, clear as day, was his vitamin K2. Barely there. Undetectable almost. I looked at him and said, "Mark, this isn't about age. It's about flow. Your arteries aren't flexible enough to deliver the blood your body is asking for." We started him on a K2 supplement, MK7, paired with vitamin B3 to help with absorption. Nothing extreme, no overhaul, just targeted support. 6 weeks later, Mark came back. His handshake was firmer, his eyes brighter. And the first thing he said was, "Doc, I feel different." His hands were warmer, his sleep deeper, his sense of clarity back. And then he smiled, a bit shy, and said, "My wife noticed before I did." I'll never forget what he said next. "I didn't think it was possible. I thought that part of life was just over." It wasn't over. It was just neglected. And Mark's story is not rare. I've seen dozens, hundreds of men walk the same path, not through miracles, not through surgery, but by supporting their biology with what it was quietly missing. Now, of course, even with better circulation, there are often hidden obstacles standing in your way, things you take every day without realizing they're working against your body. And before we go further, I need to tell you exactly what those are, because they could be the very reason your progress feels slow or stalled.
4. The dangerous medications blocking your flow. Let me be honest with you. One of the toughest conversations I have with patients isn't about what's missing. It's about what's quietly getting in the way. Because even after restoring circulation, optimizing nutrition, and supporting the body's rhythm, some men still feel stuck. The spark comes back, but faint. Their energy lifts, but doesn't stay. That's when I ask, what medications are you taking? And suddenly, the picture sharpens. Because some of the most common drugs prescribed to men over 60, meant to protect your heart or blood pressure, may be silently sabotaging your blood flow. Let's start with statins. Millions of men take them to lower cholesterol, but statins can block the same pathways that vitamin K2 uses to clear calcium from your arteries. The result? Lower cholesterol, yes, but potentially stiffer arteries and slower blood flow. Then there are blood pressure meds, especially older types that over-dampen circulation, leaving you sluggish and unresponsive. Acid blockers impair nutrient absorption, including magnesium and K2, two vital players in cardiovascular health. Antidepressants can flatten hormonal signals, draining arousal and drive. And when you may not expect, calcium supplements. When taken without K2, they can push calcium into your arteries, not your bones, making your vessels harder, not stronger. Now, I'm not saying throw away your prescriptions, but I am saying you deserve to know how they affect your circulation. Because sometimes the problem isn't your age, it's the chemical environment we've placed your body in. I've seen men on 6 or 7 medications begin to feel alive again, not by adding more, but by removing what no longer served them. And the good news is, even if you need medication, you can still protect your arteries naturally, especially by looking at the foods you eat and the nutrients your diet may be missing. That brings us to a critical next step: where to find K2 naturally and why most men aren't getting enough. Let's take a look at your plate.
5. Where's the K2? Why most diets fall short. By now, most men ask me the same thing. Doc, can I just get K2 from food? And it's a fair question. We've been told for years, eat a balanced diet and you'll get everything you need. But here's the truth. When it comes to K2, most diets fall short, way short. Unlike vitamin C or D, where a glass of juice or a bit of sunlight makes a difference, K2 is rare. And I mean rare in the modern Western diet. The best source? A Japanese dish called natto, a sticky fermented soybean food. It's powerful, but the smell, let's just say, not for everyone. Beyond that, K2 is found in goose liver, grass-fed organ meats, and some aged cheeses like Gouda or Edam. But here's the problem. Most men don't eat natto. They're not exactly dining on goose liver either. And cheese? You'd have to eat a lot to reach therapeutic levels. And you'd get the salt and fat that come with it. That's why in my clinic, I almost always recommend supplementation. Not because food doesn't matter, but because you'd need an unusual diet to get enough K2 through food alone. So what do I use? Vitamin K2 in the MK7 form. It stays in your system longer and is better absorbed. I pair it with vitamin D3 because they work together to direct calcium properly. And sometimes magnesium to support arterial flexibility and heart rhythm. It's not a cocktail. It's a correction.
One small, targeted step that quietly supports your arteries, your blood flow, your energy, and yes, your performance. But don't get me wrong, no single vitamin is a magic fix. This isn't about one capsule. It's about restoring a foundation your body quietly lost over time, one step at a time, one layer at a time. And next, we'll talk about how this all ties back to something deeper than just blood vessels. Because the real win here isn't just in your body, it's in how you feel when it works again.
6. The bigger picture. Reclaiming vitality and intimacy. When men come to see me, they rarely say, "Doc, I want better circulation." What they really mean is, "I want to feel like myself again." Because when blood stops flowing, it's not just physical performance that fades, it's identity. I've sat across from men who built businesses, raised families, fought wars, survived loss. Men who still show up, still care, still try, but quietly feel like something vital slipped away. They don't feel weak, they just feel disconnected from their bodies, from their partners, sometimes from life itself. And that's why this conversation isn't just about vitamin K2, it's about reconnection. Because when you restore blood flow, you're not just bringing oxygen to tissues, you're bringing presence back to your life. You start to think more clearly, walk more confidently, wake up with intention, and at night you feel the difference between just existing and being fully present. I've watched this shift happen again and again. Not from testosterone shots, not from pills that force a result, but from giving the body what it needs and letting it respond in its own rhythm. When blood flows, everything changes, not just in your vessels, but in the way you see yourself in the mirror, in the way your partner looks at you again, not out of duty, but out of curiosity, in the way you sit down for breakfast and feel alive. And isn't that the real goal? Not to feel 25 again, but to feel clear, grounded, connected, like a man who still has fire in him. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how we put that into practice, a simple daily rhythm that ties everything we've talked about into one quiet, powerful return to strength.
7. Motivational close. The fire isn't gone. Here's what I want every man over 60 to hear, clearly and without hesitation. The fire inside you is not gone. It may be quieter, it may feel distant, but it is still there. I've sat across from men who were ready to give up, not because they didn't care, but because they thought this decline was just the price of getting older. It's not. What you're feeling isn't failure. It's under support, nutritionally, physically, emotionally. And that can change. When we restore what the body has quietly lost, nutrients like K2, D3, magnesium, support for circulation, hormone balance, and sleep, something shifts. Not just in your blood work, but in your eyes, your voice, the way you walk into a room. I've seen men regain not just function, but presence. The quiet confidence that says, "I'm still here. I still matter." Because you do. You deserve more than just getting by. You deserve to wake up strong, to go to bed connected, to feel the weight of your body working with you again. And no, you don't need extreme treatments. You don't need to chase youth. You just need consistent steps that honor the season you're in and fuel the man you still are. Like a fire that hasn't gone out, just starved of oxygen, your body is waiting for the right spark. And once it gets it, it remembers exactly what to do. You may not feel 25 again, but you can feel clearer, steadier, more alive than you have in years. And now, let's pull it all together. In the final part, I'll walk you through a simple daily routine, the exact one I give my private patients, to restore circulation, strengthen performance, and bring the fire back online. Let's finish strong.
8. Conclusion. A simple step toward the man you used to be. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is still awake, still listening, still fighting. And I want you to know that matters. Because what we've talked about today, it's not just about a vitamin. It's about a deeper truth most men never get to hear. That poor circulation, fading intimacy, and low energy are not your destiny. They're signals. They're your body asking for support. Not more medications, not more willpower, but balance. And in many cases, that balance begins with a quiet deficiency. Vitamin K2. It's not glamorous, it's not new, but it works because it restores flow. And when flow returns, so does vitality, so does connection, so does the man you remember being. You've learned the science. You've heard Mark's story. You've seen how medications, nutrient gaps, and daily habits can quietly chip away at your strength. But you've also seen the path forward, clear, steady, proven. And now, it's your move. Because you're not too old. You're not too far gone. You're not too late. You're one smart, simple step away from feeling like the man you used to be, and maybe stronger than ever before. If this episode gave you clarity or hope, even just a little, I'd be honored if you'd support this message. Tap the like button. It helps other men find what they've quietly been searching for. Leave a comment below. Tell me what resonated, or just type 1 to say, I'm still here. And if you believe this could help someone else, a friend, a brother, a father, share it. Because every man deserves to know it's not over. The journey back to strength, connection, and confidence isn't something we should walk alone. Let's keep building it together.